What's good, gente? Thank you guys once again, like always, for tuning in. As you guys can see on the thumbnail and on the title, right? This is something you guys have been waiting for quite a minute, I guess. At least not all of you guys, but a few of you guys. The ones that usually tap in on the live, they kind of know a little bit of these details, right? But as you guys can see on the thumbnail and on the title, right? Why I dropped out and how I felt after that happened, right? And even though you guys already been knowing how I feel about the whole dropout word, because I technically never dropped out, because I really never really dropped in, right? But I will get into those details. So I actually hope you guys enjoyed this video and you guys are able to get what you guys want out of this video, because I know there's actually a few of you guys that have been waiting for this. So with all that being said, gente, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to hit a like for your boy. Make sure to subscribe, hit that follow, hit that notification bell just in case we go live. It's been a minute, so I plan to go live real soon. So make sure to stay tuned in, gente. So with all that being said, thank you guys once again for your support. It's highly appreciated over here, especially, man, because without you guys, the E.B.K family, the Conejo's profiles, they wouldn't be possible, man. So with all that being said, thank you guys once again for your support, and let's get started on this video. So even though a lot of people may assume or get their little clown on, right? I think I actually made a video about this already. Your boy didn't drop out behind a cop car, right? I did check in. I did go program with the homies for a little bit. Like I said, it wasn't for long, but I did program with the homies for a little bit, and I was even able to see my old celly get removed, while I was back there. So don't believe everything you hear on YouTube. Some people just like to talk shit, and which is all good, man. You guys already been knowing how your boy does it. When they talk shit, I mean, we either react to it or we get our clown right back. But nah, even though that's something that they have thrown out in the past, that's not quite true, right? So first, when I did first hit the county jail, of course, you guys got to understand, classification was looking at my case like something really, I guess, out of the ordinary, right? Even though it has happened in the past, they kind of made it seem like it was something hella extreme, and my safety was in the linea, right? That was actually their main concern, that I wasn't going to be able to program with the homeboys, and more than likely I was going to get whacked. But I did stay with the homeboys, and I did like about a month, I want to say I probably did like about a month, maybe a little bit less, right? But it was really close to the mark of the month, especially because right before, you guys got to understand, I ended up showing up to the county at a time where there was hella homeboys, homies. There was just hella people locked up at that time, right? And the Norteño pods, I think they had two pods, and the third one was like a mixture of everybody, right? And they technically, even though it was a GP, the Norteños weren't able to program in that building. It was technically a whites, a paisas, and some sureños that technically were under, like, trying to stay undercover. They didn't want to go program in their tank, so they were technically there. Those were the ones that were able to come out and be all interacting, right? But when it came to like the northerners, even though there was like 9 of them there, it was like 9 of us, they would end up pulling us out and taking us to another building, which happened to be like a hole. And that's where we would end up getting our little program, which wasn't much. They would only give us like about an hour or two. And eventually, right, they did end up taking me, of course, to the homeboy pod. I ended up hitting M unit. Yeah, I want to say it was M unit. If I'm not mistaken, it could have been N, but it was more than likely M. But whatever. Besides the point, those were two Norteño pods at that time. Now it's not. One of those pods happens to be a rider pod. And I can get into the details later on how that ended up happening, like taking over a pod when it came to the Norteños, right? We can get into that discussion in another video. But I did hit the homeboy pod, and that's where they ended up removing my cellmate, right? My ex-cellmate. They ended up removing him, which was, I ain't gonna lie, man, it was a grave one. And that's actually my boy Criminal. He talks about that thing, right? Where he threw the apple, and there was a couple little things, but they did do some damage to old boy. So when old boy ended up getting removed, right away, even though I was technically by myself, I was still some type of a concern when it came to administration committee. So I was pulled out. I was actually pulled out and placed in medical. And that actually, honestly, man, that put me in a bad spot. That really put me in a bad situation. When it comes to the norteños getting removed from like a pod or just any little facility that they have unlocked, it's not a good thing to get pulled out and get placed somewhere else. That puts you on a bad spot, and that's what ended up happening to your boy Conejo, man. Your boy got pulled out, and he didn't go or get thrown in PC. Nah, man, I was thrown in freaking medical. They ended up throwing me in medical, and to be honest, man, they even put me on a freaking suicide watch because I remember I had a freaking camera right on the thing, always looking at me. And I wasn't placed by myself. Of course, there was other norteños that were snatched up at the same time, right? There was Bones from WVN. There was actually a local Parker. I can't really get his name. I know him personally. I just don't know his name. I can't get his freaking name, to be quite real. I've been even looking it up, and I even asked some homeboys, man, that know who I'm talking about. Like, hey, what the fuck's that Fus Placazo, right? But old boy has been gone for a minute. I remind you, this was in 2010, so it's been a minute, right? So if my memory doesn't really reclick the names, they spent out, right? But they ended up putting me in a bad spot, man. After I was taken to medical, I did stay there for like a week and some change. Classification really wasn't working with me, and even though there was communication for like the people that have been in medical in at least in the Santa Cruz County, you're able to actually communicate with the homeboy pods. They were actually able to see, and they knew where I was at. They actually knew where I was at, but they honestly thought that your boy had rolled it up. And like I said, man, they can see it however they want. People can say that I rolled it up. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm already put in that little spot, and it is what it is. But I was approached while I was in medical by, of course, COs, and they even brought family members, that I also doing time, that they were right there in the facility to kind of go there and talk to me and let me know what was gonna happen, right? Like, what were my options? So I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, man. After talking to my brother and even some homeboys, because I actually still had homeboys going to visit me while I was in the county and placed in a certain spot that, I mean, it wasn't looked that's too good, right? Um, the communication and the feedback that I was getting from my brother, the homies, and the family members that were locked up, right? It wasn't too good, gente. And me personally, you guys can call it what you want. You guys can be like, oh, you're just weak minded. It is what it is, right? I ended up hitting a writer pod, and I ended up liking it, bro. I ended up liking the fact that there was no one there to tell me what to do. That, I mean, I was able to do my own time, my own program, however I pleased to do it. And there wasn't weirdos there, homie. Like I said, as soon as I landed there, paperwork check was like, everything was still the same, homie. That's something that does happen on rider pods, that you'll notice that nothing really changes. They still ask for certain things, and they make sure people that are around you ain't weird. So of course, man, I ended up liking the program. I'm just gonna be straight up with you guys. I was young. I wasn't disciplined, like, by mind, I guess. Like, I wasn't fully able to understand the whole political push, and that technically, right, even though on the dropout side, active sides, it's all the same shit. It's all technically the same shit, and it could probably be a little bit worser on the dropout side, to be real, man. I'm just being quite honest. You guys can say childish, but it is what it is. But let's continue, right? So while I was placed over there and doing my time with the riders and just dropouts in general, right? Let's just be real about it. Just with dropouts, the hood did try to clear me. Well, they did clear me, actually. I did receive some kites. I honestly believe I still even have that kite. I'm gonna look it up. It was sent to me, and it looked kind of weird, just the way that it was wrote. But I believe I still have it right here. I'm gonna look it up, and I'll try to see if I can put it on YouTube for you guys. But the homeboys pretty much did give me my options on how to do it, like to go back, right? I was able to go back in the county, but I was actually told that just suck it up, wait, and hit reception center, right? Once I would hit reception center, I would just have to explain what happened, and then they were actually giving me my actual options of what I was able to do to get my GP, my main line, whatever, right? All that stuff that technically will put you back in good standings. And I will be making a video just specifically on why I didn't do it, right? So I'm not gonna add that on this video. But for the people, man, that are out there like, man, Pinche Conejo, you're full of shit, man. There was no one speaking up for you. I'm actually gonna give you guys some of the names. Of course, I'm gonna keep some private, especially the ones that are still active, because there's some that are still active, right? And some of them are even family members. So that's kind of why I'm gonna keep it a little bit on the hush. But I'll actually tell you exactly why they wanted me to go back active. It wasn't because your boy was like on some straight hitter shit, or just it was someone that they needed to have back, because that's someone that on YouTube, there's someone from the town that has actually thrown that in. They're like, bro, you woo woo, bro. Sometimes it's not about the person, it's about what you can do for the hood, right? And I'll actually explain that right now, especially for him. But I did have the homeboy Dope, the homie Nino, Capone, Lucifer, Moreno, and a couple of family members, right, that were from City Hall. I'll just say it like that, that they were from City Hall. But of course, they were all big homies, especially when it comes to like this political shit and just in the town in general, right? Those were people that, at least for my neighborhood, were doing a lot of moves. And even though some of the names that I probably did mention, or at least one of them, right, isn't well respected, I guarantee you that the rest, homie, they got the good little backing, you know what I'm saying, to their placazos. But we'll leave that for another subject as well, right? But like the main reason why, like I was saying earlier, it wasn't because like, hey, your boy was doing just major things out here. Nah, man, it wasn't because of that. One of the main reasons that they wanted to bring me back in good standings was technically, right, for my family plug. There's a lot of people that don't know, and I mean, it hasn't really been put out there. Especially, I mean, I don't make videos on that, right? My family, when it comes to my pops, just I'll just say my family, right? We had good plugs when it came to the town. You know, we were the ones actually plugging up everybody. And some of the big homies happen to know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We made them a lot of money, and we even got them connections that they weren't going to be able to get. Let's just put it, I'll be straight up. Especially when it came to my hood, they weren't going to get some of those connects that they had at one point. They did lose those connects, right? Especially once my brother defected. Yeah, there was no chance of them communicating or having just that connection no more. So they did lose a lot of money. But while my brother was in good standings, that was something that they would always try to throw at him, right? Like, hey, we can bring your brother back. Woo woo. There was a few options thrown out there that would technically either put me in good standings or just keep me off hot waters, right? If I did end up getting out to the streets, that they were willing to negotiate. I'll just say straight up. When it comes to being active or pushing any type of movement, right? It doesn't matter what side it's in. I always notice that money will always make a big difference, right? When it comes to them making their actual decisions on what they're gonna do. And especially with these big organizations, if you're able to bring them something to the table that they want, bro. And especially when it comes about money or them making money, shit, they're able to look past a lot of things, especially some of these defections or just some of these moves that people have done in the past. You know, there's some people that are active till this day just because of some of the money moves or some of the things that they're able to bring to the table, you know? So why didn't I go back? Like I said, I will be making a video on just specifically why I didn't go back, especially because some of those options that were thrown out there, right? I mean, they could have kept me away from some of the hate, some of the drama, just some of the things that I've gone, right, since I paroled out here in the streets. So make sure to stay tuned in for that video on why I technically didn't go back active. And I'll actually explain how I honestly felt, you know, because that on all reality, I was going to drop it on this video, but I really can't. I can't tell you on this video because then I'll technically be telling you why I didn't go back active, you know, because that had to do a lot to do with it, especially on how I felt at that time. Of course, a lot of people may assume that once you drop out, yeah, you feel like shit. Yeah, it does feel like shit. I mean, I believe everybody will feel like shit or some type of disgrace or low. We'll get into that on that video, but I'm gonna tell you the main reason why I didn't go back active and why I honestly felt the way I felt, and maybe I'll actually include as well, right, which that had to do a lot on why I ended up joining the prison gang. So stay tuned for that video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video right here. I tend not to really do too many of these because usually you guys like the reactions, but we're going to be doing some changes to the channel. Of course, we're always going to keep it uncut, real, and just cutthroat at times, homie, because that's how the YouTube yada that is, right? But like I said, I'm never going to change, and I always keep it 100 with you guys. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. So with that being said, gente, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit a like for your boy. Make sure to subscribe, hit that follow, hit that notification bell, and all that good stuff that helps out the channel, right? Straight up, I highly do appreciate every single one of you guys. Remember, man, without you guys, the E.B.K family wouldn't be here, homie. So with all that being said, thank you guys once again for your support, and I'll see you guys on the next one or on the live. So make sure to hit that notification bell, drop comments, and all that good stuff. Catch you guys on the next one. We out.
I beg to differ. Suckers don't get a pass, so don't come to Clint. Nobody fucking with me. Slide through with the homies on the 4GG. Other suckers wanna kill me. Run it back on my shoes, feel me. So don't come to Cliff. Nobody fucking with me. Slide through with the